The number 21 Stanford Cardinal against Northwestern, the Wildcats, as both of these teams open their 2015 season. Stanford has won the toss and will receive. McCaffrey, a yard deep in the end zone. And the star running back takes it out to the 24-yard line. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick, Ed Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Dr. Jerry Punch will join us shortly. We have an intriguing quarterback matchup for you this afternoon. An accomplished fifth-year senior against a redshirt freshman, very talented, but yet to play his first game.
Northwestern really struggled on offense last year, and it wasn't the quarterback. It was the receivers and running backs that were hurt. But Clayton Thorson comes in, highly recruited young man. They really expect a lot out of him. But the game today will go through the hands of Kevin Hogan, the senior quarterback, a guy who struggled a bit early last year, played wonderful at the end of the season.
Flag down on the first play, and Kevin Hogan, your starting quarterback for Stanford, 24-8 as a starting quarterback as he followed Andrew Luck. He's an accomplished passer and runner. Behind Luck, 913 yards rushing for his career. And last year at the end of the season, he caught fire. The last 3 games, hit 76% of his passes, and that was number 1 in the country. 4-man rush, plenty of time, and to his outstanding tight end Austin Hooper.
Had a fumbled exchange in the zone read on the very first play, so they went to 2nd and long, and then there you see Hogan. He just last year, what they talk about here for the quarterback at Stanford is rhythm and balance. It's what they've gone all the way back to the beginning with Jim Harbaugh when David Shaw was an assistant under Harbaugh. You can see there he shuffles up, and excellent accuracy. The game that he played against UCLA, Hogan, last year, was as accurate as I've ever seen a quarterback. The most he missed a throw by was a foot or two.
It's a power formation here on 3rd and a long 2. McCaffrey, student body right, cut it back. Got a good block from Daniel Marks, the fullback. Opened up the seam for him, and they've got a first down.
Oh, we'll take a look at our impact players. Of course, Christian McCaffrey, one of them who blew onto the scene last year at the end of the season, over 7 yards per carry. His dad, Ed, was a great here at Stanford in the NFL. Rollin Stallworth gets his first start of his career as a 5th-year senior. Dean Lowry can be dominant at times at ends, and Nick Van Hoos, a starting corner and a secondary for Northwestern that, I don't know if they'll be tops in the Big Ten, but they're going to be awfully good by the end of the season.
This will be a real test for the Stanford passing game. And firing through Dean Lowry out of Rockford, Illinois. Number 12 on the all-time sack list for the Wildcats. That time showed you could play the run.
Well, here he is. He's going to come right down inside, a very quick move. The right tackle there, Casey Tucker, has no chance to do it. Very difficult block for Tucker, but a good job by Lowry. This is a guy that they really need to step up in his last year, have his best season, and he was dominant at times last season.
Hogan again with time, and he can spin it. Got this one out for a first down into Northwestern territory as Rollin Stallworth out of Reno, Nevada makes the catch for 12.
Well, Stallworth in there, his biggest credit before coming into this season was he was the 2013 the Scout Team Player of the Year. That was the biggest thing that happened to him, but there's a first-half suspension for Michael Rector. He was suspended during camp for violation of team rules, so Rector out for the first half. Stallworth gets the start, and a big day for the senior.
They'll go with 4 wideouts on first down. They are fully capable running this multiple offense of spreading the field and sending McCaffrey out of the backfield. They will flank him out, put him out as a wide receiver, as a flanker. They'll put him in the slot. He's just a multi-talented kid, and they want to get him in space as often as they can.
And the problem with Stanford is you've noticed how many spread formations they've run. You mentioned 4 wide receivers a moment ago. Stanford is built to be a physical run, 2-back, 2-tight end type of offense that can also expand out. When they can take McCaffrey and move him and get him covered by Jalen Prater, you're going to win that every time. And Hogan just looks like he's in command.
Now back to the eye with only 1 wide receiver. They make you defend everything. McCaffrey, little delay. Big hole up the middle. McCaffrey inside the 25 for a first down. Joshua Garnett, who's their most experienced offensive lineman, led the way.
Yeah, this is you're going to see the right side is going to block down, get a power block. Good job there. Excellent job by the fullback. But that is Joshua Garnett, a guy who you study him on film. He's a big, smooth, powerful athlete with long arms. I think if he wants to play in the NFL, I think he's going to play for a really long time.
Last three plays have yielded 12, 13, and 12. Ramon Wright will give McCaffrey a breather as the tailback. He wears number 22, and he gets the carry. Big hole for Wright. Right at the sticks at the 14-yard line.
Mentioned the fullback Daniel Marks on the last block. This is a guy who's just, now he's lined up as a wing, but watch the cut block he gets on Adenabo. Just a wonderful job. And Mark's a young man. This is Stanford's becoming kind of O-line U, tight end U.
Yes.
But the amount of fullbacks that they're putting in the NFL, and they feel like this guy Marks will be the next one to be a NFL guy at that position. Sure looked great there and the play before.
Now 5 wide receivers. McCaffrey is to the wide side of the field, to the top of your screen. He'll get the throw a little high, trying for a quick flanker screen, but Matthew Harris read it beautifully and came flying up from the corner to make a tackle.
Had time to visit with Matthew Harris yesterday. That was good recognition. He said the biggest growth that he's seen personally is just knowing what everyone's doing, knowing formations. That time, you mentioned McCaffrey's out there, so he's thinking, wait a minute, this is not going to be a regular run. So nice job by Harris recognizing that.
A time-consuming drive already inside 10 minutes. McCaffrey back at tailback. They fake it to him, and they'll give it to Owusu on the flanker around, and Northwestern diagnoses it beautifully. It's going to be tough to fool anybody on either one of these ball clubs. Remember, it's Stanford and Northwestern.
Man, Tyler Lancaster, he's going to come on a stunt, and then watch him chase this down. There's he just beat the guy to the outside. That is just excellent job by an inside defensive tackle. Good run, good tackle. And now you're 3rd and long for Stanford. You're in a throw down with no vertical stretch. So you've got to think this is something where they're trying to get McCaffrey or somebody the ball, see if he can work past the sticks as quickly as possible.
Hooper makes a great target down here. He's in at tight end. Instead, they're going to throw for McCaffrey. They end up with a double team, and it's too high. Coming over from his safety spot, Travion Henry, but Anthony Walker, the linebacker, had a man-to-man as he came out.
Yeah, they ran an out and up to McCaffrey. That was just terrific coverage by Anthony Walker, the middle linebacker. The safety gets there, but it was pressure, finally. Pressure from the defensive line. We saw good run game play, but that time the defensive line got some pressure and Hogan had to throw it a touch early.
Conrad Ukropina is on for the field goal try. Only hit 2 of 4 a year ago, but he's perfect on that one. And Stanford, they probably won't be happy with the result. They only got 3, but boy, what an impressive opening drive. Beautiful on the shores of Lake Michigan, here in the North Shore, Northwestern and Stanford.
I think a squirrel could probably catch one of those waves. You ever seen a surfing squirrel?
No. Don't really want to. Jake Bailey will kick it away. And Solomon Vault got a touchdown return a year ago. Trying to duplicate that, takes it up to the 24-yard line. The Northwestern quarterback, Clayton Thorson, making his first career start. Came out of high school in the ESPN 300 as the 7th-ranked quarterback in the country. Threw for almost 3,000 yards and 41 touchdowns in his high school career.
Yeah, the last time he got hit in a game, the defensive ends were 5'8", 190 pounds. So things will be a little different against an basically all-new Stanford defense from last year. 9 new starters. So Stanford wondering what they have as well.
Vitale was the man in motion. This is Justin Jackson, the 1,000-yard rusher from a year ago, who they will count on heavily to help this offense until Clayton Thorson can get his feet under him.
And what a difference a year makes. Last year, of course, Northwestern lost their best player in Venrick Mark, a running back right before the season, to a transfer, and this young freshman had to step up and went for over 1,000. Nice job.
Trips right, and they'll go to Vitale on the flanker screen. He'll pick up a couple before Callum Baya makes the tackle.
And this for Pat Fitzgerald, the head coach at Northwestern. They have so much more speed on offense than they had last year. That 3rd and 5 last year, a lot of times it was a rundown, and they were just afraid to throw it sometimes. They didn't think anybody could get open. But now they can be more aggressive, and they really like Thorson, a guy who has a good arm and is fast enough to run the option.
Stanford comes with 4. Thorson hit from behind and drilled. Kevin Anderson, who has the pass rush skills you want as an outside linebacker, got the free shot.
Well, Anderson going up against new left tackle Jeff Mogus. Mogus moving out from the guard position, and this is a really difficult transition from guard to tackle, especially left tackle. Anderson does a good job of collapsing the hands of Mogus. Good rush, but that's a tough switch for a guy in his first game going from guard to tackle for Mogus.
Northwestern, very young cover guys. This is McCaffrey back at the 25. Swarmed under, but somehow gets out of it, makes another man miss, then taken down inside the 20. Good job by those kids. A loss of 7 on the return. Keith Watkins, the second, makes the tackle. And for Clayton Thorson, welcome to college football. This is what it's like. Stanford with its second possession. The Cardinals starts from its 18. McCaffrey. One of the reasons Kevin Hogan struggled last year, there's a flag down in this play. One of the reasons Kevin Hogan struggled a lot last year was something that nobody else knew, and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 51, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Jalen Prater who gives him a first down, but Jerry Punch knows the reason, and this is a very touching story, isn't it, Doc?
Mike, it is. He was trying to struggle with coping with the fact that his father, Jerry, was battling cancer. His dad, a prominent Washington attorney, would die on December 8th. You know, late in the year when Hogan was struggling, there was an open date. He went to see his dad, and his dad said, son, live every day to its fullest. Live every day to its fullest. Don't worry about yesterday or tomorrow. And that's what Kevin Hogan did, and suddenly there was a calm, and his game completely changed.
And Jerry, that last 3 games that he played, he hit 76% of his passes. So obviously that had a tremendous impact on him. And he, all during that time, he had to endure people getting on his case about why aren't you playing any better. And that must have been just an extremely difficult time in his life.
Seeing him early in the year, and then I went in yesterday and I watched the UCLA game, he just was a completely different player. And I think Jerry said it right, that he just calmed himself. He realized it's just a game. I don't have to put all this pressure on myself. And when we were talking to David Shaw, the head coach, he said he just relaxed. His shoulders dropped. He was comfortable. He would breathe more. And you really see it in the passing game. He's just taken some off of the ball.
Realized every pass didn't have to be perfect. McCaffrey on the screen, and Anthony Walker, what a play. He saw that coming from about 10 yards away and was all over McCaffrey.
Walker, a young man who was forced into the lineup last year at middle linebacker because Collins Ellis went out with concussions, and they just really liked what this young man saw and did right away. And right now, Hogan's lucky that he wasn't one step closer. He was half a step from maybe getting his hands on that ball. What an excellent job to force 3rd and long, and now you can play off coverage. But Hogan, plenty of arm, very comfortable with longer throws.
Walker, the only returning starting linebacker. He's at the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 14. Here's the read option. And Wright only gets a couple. Igwe Buke made the stop. He came up from his safety spot.
You know, the last drive, Stanford goes all the way down the field, and then they got a little cute with the reverse, and they end up with 3. You feel like if they just run it, they probably have 7. This time, you get to 3rd and long, you have a quarterback who may have been playing the best ball in the country last year, and you hand it off. Awfully conservative early here for Stanford. That's normally what they do, but if I got a quarterback like that, I'd want to be throwing that down the field.
Robinson kicks it away, kicks it out of bounds. Solomon Vault was back there but didn't get a chance to return it. Well, come on in, fellas. Still got seats at Ryan Field. Live at home and on the go with Watch ESPN. Paul Christ, the new head coach at Wisconsin, built his reputation as a tremendous offensive coordinator.
It worked out well, I think, for Wisconsin, losing Gary Anderson, who wanted to move back west, went to Oregon State.
Thorson on the option.
And this is for Thorson something that coming in, he was a highly rated dual threat quarterback, not just a throwing quarterback. 6'4", 6'5", taller guy, but has enough speed, runs in that kind of 4'5", 4'6" range, and this is a nice option that they can keep in the pocket.
Rolling and throws to the near side, a very short completion to Christian Jones, who missed all of last year and is a very important part of their passing game. A huge receiver in the slot at 6'3", 230.
Second senior year for Jones. Thought he was going to have one last year, hurt his knee. Within 24 hours, they lost Christian Jones, their best receiver the 2 previous years, and Venrick Mark, their best player last year during camp within a 24-hour period. Just an awful time for them.
That pretty much took care of the offense, didn't it? High snap. Thorson gets the handoff to Justin Jackson. And Justin Jackson, who rushed for almost 1,200 yards a year ago, got a good block from Dickerson and goes for 15.
Brand new starter Brad North at center, taking over for a 4-year starter. Throws it a little high, but Thorson does an excellent job. And when you study Jackson, the running back, he doesn't look that fast, but he gains a whole lot of yardage. He's a very smooth runner, so it doesn't look like he's gaining a ton of yardage, but he runs that outside stretch really well.
Stanford shows blitz. Thorson runs around it and then slides in safely at the 46. Pretty smart for a redshirt freshman.
We were talking to the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, Mick McCall, about Thorson being a taller guy who can run. Does he know how to slide? And he said, we practice that as much as I've ever had someone practice it. He said he doesn't do it naturally. Some guys just have the good timing of when to do it. So it's pretty good job there.
It's a gain of 3. 3-man rush, and the 3 guys got there. The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Harrison Phillips out of Omaha, 6'4", 278, just pushed the pocket.
I saw Phillips before warm-ups. He is a stud. Look how much he just shoves the offensive lineman back there. Big, powerful guy, thin waist, looks like he moves very well. So people a little surprised he won a starting role, but you could see why. Good power there.
3rd and 7. 4-man rush this time. Thorson throws underneath and got it complete to Christian Jones. For the leading receiver in 2012, the leading receiver in 2013.
He can't do much without his shoe. His shoe came off after this catch. But for Trevor Siemian, the starter last year, you just didn't have this throw. You didn't have a guy that could get that open 7 yards down the field. What a nice relief it is, and a good deal that they've got a young quarterback that can get it to him.
Sort of settle the nerves for Thorson, and he hands to Justin Jackson. He's on all the running back lists for awards at the end of the season, the Maxwell Trophy, the Doak Walker Award.
When you're getting blocking like this at the point of attack, I mean, that's just a blow-up by the right guard. And right tackle Shane Mers and Eric Olson just blew them up, and you get a running game going and able to spread it, this can be very dangerous.
This is Warren Long getting a chance to run the ball. He is triple teamed and taken down a couple of yards shy of a first down. Blake Martinez in on the stop. Led this team in tackles a year ago with over 100.
A lot of people wanted Stanford and talking to them, and this was their only starter. Blake Martinez was their only true starter coming back. And in talking to some of the defensive coaches and David Shaw, they feel good about the talent, but one of the best defenses in the country last year, you lose almost every starter. And right now, Northwestern getting a little rhythm going.
Jackson again. Big hole this time. First down and more. Jackson inside the 20. He has a first down. Shane Mertz led the way. Elijah Holder had to make the tackle after a gain of 19. This is an impressive Northwestern drive. And they're going hurry up. Thornton gives to Jackson again. And the Northwestern offensive line, Ed, is winning the battle.
And we'll go back a play. Watch Mertz as he pulls around. He's the biggest guy on the team, 6'8", 320, in there mostly because Matt Frazier, who was expected to start, has a staph infection. But Mertz, they ran the exact same play on the next down. Good play calling, and they've got this defense on their heels. Remember, early start for Stanford, 9 o'clock West Coast time start, and this defense looks a little gassed.
Solomon Vaught was the man in motion. He's the new running back. Forced into the end zone, almost intercepted. That time he did not throw a good pass, and Cody Whitfield, standing yard deep in the end zone, just dropped it.
Looked like he had that moment of maybe trying to pull this one back. But boy, he going for Christian Jones and just did not see the underneath coverage. And that was Martinez, the middle linebacker, and also safety coming over. But here you go. Key third down. You may want to move the pocket.
Thorson, throw tipped off the hand of Vitale, the fullback slash tight end. So just like Stanford, they bog down when they get deep in their opponent's territory, and they will go the field goal route with Jack Mitchell.
And that one, you'd hope Vitale comes out with that catch, a senior who had 40 catches last year, but that's also a ball for a young quarterback. You'll learn to take a little bit off of it, but that's a catch that should have been made. Not sure they get the first, but you may go for it on 4th and 1.
Mitchell, who missed only once inside 40 a year ago, true on that one. And Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald's kids come out and answer the bell. They've tied it at 3.
To these guys.
And I'm not pandering to former offensive linemen here, but you know as well as anybody else, that's where it starts. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't win.
It sets the toughness of your team, especially in practice, when you do inside run drills. If it's a tough physical group, your defense they have to get better, and they will. Plus, it allows you to do, if you're good on the offensive line, you can do anything you want. If you watch Stanford, they're a spread team. They'll pack you in. They'll run inside run with a lead back. They'll run screens. They can do everything because the offensive line can do it all.
They're packed in this time with a 7-man front. Straight ahead handoff to Ramon Wright, the senior. Leading rusher a year ago, 601 yards. The ground game was not that powerful.
It really is staggering how much better the offense got and how much better Kevin Hogan got. And Doc Punch just told the story about he'd held the news that his father was dying of cancer, did Hogan, but when he went for his final visit was told to relax, take every day as you can, and this offense has really followed that leader.
McCaffrey is not the tailback McCaffrey is the tailback in this set, I meant. Walker and Deontay Gibson were in on the stop, and that defense of the Wildcats playing much better as this game wears on. End of the quarter, 3-3 from Northwestern. Cars.com. Now, you don't see this very often. Tailgating and fixing breakfast. Breakfast. Now, Stanford, they need breakfast. Their wake-up call was what this morning?
Pretty early.
4:40 West Coast time. 3rd and long for Hogan. 5-man rush. Hogan flushed, and they got it. Great effort by that Northwestern front. Anthony Walker led the charge.
Walker is playing out of his mind. Watch, he's got the quarterback in case he runs out. He'll read it. There's the hole I go. It's like a running back. This young man who was forced into the lineup last year, played great, got better each week. He's a terror so far. He's made just about every tackle, and he's been there for every different type of formation and been able to suss it out.
Miles Schuler is deep for Alex Robinson's kick. Kicks it out of bounds inside the 30-yard line. That is a 50-yard kick. A couple of punts have been marked sort of oddly. They're marking where the ball lands out of bounds instead of where it crossed the line. Help the kicker's average.
And if you're Clayton Thorson, you have to feel pretty good about yourself. Your first start in college against basically a brand new defense from Stanford, but what was a defense last year that was one of the best in the country. Your first game action since high school, playing awfully well.
Thorson on the option to Solomon Vault, and Solomon Vault turns the corner. Had 20 carries a year ago. He's a good receiver coming out of the backfield, and he's got some quickness.
And Cody Whitfield, who father Bob was a great player here, now playing safety. He got up a little slow from that. He was working his left arm. You can see him over on the hash covering the slot, but he's one of the few veteran guys they have in that secondary. Don't want to lose him.
Thorson with a fake. Guns it down the middle, tipped. He's had 3 passes that could have been picked. That time Blake Martinez got his hands on it.
Yeah, he gave Martinez no reason not to run to that ball. Thorson, if you study him, like a lot of young quarterbacks, may stay locked in a little bit. Martinez, a guy who the coaches expect good things from in his senior year. They feel like he can be at that upper echelon of guys like Miles Jack at UCLA and Scooby Wright at Arizona.
Bad snap. Northwestern will cover, but they let a 3rd and 2 get away from them, and they'll have to punt.
That was a big loss. You lost a 4-year starter at center, Brandon Vitabile, and this is the second one we've seen by Brad North, the new center. And the hard part in these new offenses for North, number 69 for Northwestern, that's a power run block, and then he's got to also snap it with touch. I was a center in college in the NFL. It is incredibly difficult. Just a sophomore North, he'll settle in, but you don't think about that loss of a 4-year center, but we've already seen it play in today.
Nice wander. Sometimes wears 87, sometimes 32. It depends on who else is on the kicking team. Rugby-style kick.
And snaps
and goes
are
sideways.
Snaps are an adventure. That one rolled back. A nice one.
29-yard kick. Gorgeous day here at Northwestern. And Joey Bosa, he's one of 4 players who's suspended. And keep in mind that Virginia Tech coaching staff is a big game coaching staff. They have pulled off some major upsets in their time.
And the Hokies play awfully well at night in Blacksburg.
Nice move by Hogan to get away from pressure. Room to run, throws instead and incomplete.
Oh, you want that back if you're a senior quarterback. You don't want to miss that throw. Excellent job bailing out on the miss by Drew Smith, who came free off the edge.
And Stallworth was open.
Yeah, and it looked like Hogan maybe rushed this just a touch as he threw it, but this is a 17-yard gain. Just missed it by a little bit. Good effort by Stallworth, but that's one you want back if you're Hogan, especially as well as he's playing lately.
Stanford starting in great field position from its own 43. Hogan, quarterback draw. Hit initially by Odenabo, the 6'3 junior, and he held it to only a 3-yard gain.
Excellent job by Odenabo. Came down inside. Just a sophomore. Played a bit last year. But remember, on 3rd and long last time, Stanford got very conservative. Let's see if they let Hogan throw it here. I don't know why you wouldn't have just a nice pocket pass. You've got 2 backs on either side, so you can pick up the blitz and get them out late if you need to. This looks like you're looking for something 7 to 15 yards in the route tree for Hogan.
Last 11 plays, they've been held under 10 yards. 3-man rush. Hogan again, pocket collapsing around him. He got the pass out complete to Wright, and Wright has enough for a first down.
And just this offensive line is the whole reason that you pick up this first down. Nobody's over. Northwestern secondary does an excellent job. I mentioned the 2 running backs. When they're there and there is no blitz, they're just going to go out and flare. And because the offensive line held up their protection so long, Wright was able to sneak out, get away from the man covering him. So good read, good everything by Hogan, but it was the offensive line giving him forever to find that late check down that picks up the first.
Northwestern dropped 8 men into coverage, couldn't stop it. McCaffrey gets a few and a first chance to check into the studio, and Adnan Burke. Adnan, thanks very much. This is second quarter action from Northwestern. Stanford and the Wildcats tied at 3. Stanford driving. The 2nd and 7. Hogan under pressure again, and down he goes. The blitz from Travion Henry.
Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator for Northwestern, is just calling a beautiful ball game. He's not bringing a lot of pressure this time, deciding to bring a safety. Good inside rush that totally sucked up the offensive line by Deontay Gibson. Nobody is there for Henry. What a nice call by Hankwitz. Has to be awfully happy with how his guys are playing.
Beautifully designed blitz and a great play on right. Dean Lowry making a second critical tackle.
But you're 3rd and long with a senior quarterback, and you're handing it off in a run formation. It's just awfully conservative. I mean, you've got a guy who completed 76% of his passes, is terrific on the long throw, and that's 2 3rd and longs in this first half that you've handed the ball off in a little bit of a, kind of white towel. Well, we didn't get it this time. Just kind of a wasted down, it feels like.
I think right now they're in the let's not make a mistake mode.
Probably. And early on, I understand that for sure.
Robinson booms one over the head of Schuler into the end zone. Second quarter, 10 minutes to go till halftime. Still 3-3.
You sure that's not Hogwarts?
Northwestern, after forcing another punt, starts from its own 20-yard line. Jackson, the running back behind Clayton Thorson. Read option. Thorson keeps, gets a block on the outside, and picks up 10. Vitale really sealed off the end.
And for Stanford, who's getting pushed around a little bit, it looks like they're going to lose Harrison Phillips. Mentioned earlier, young man won the starting job, but he came off with a left leg injury. He's really hobbled. They don't have a whole lot of depth on that front.
Option to this side. Jackson on the toss, cuts it back. He's drilled as he got across the 35. Callum Bailly knocked him down.
Good clean tackle there on the quarterback. Defensive end, but Northwestern they're starting to get some rhythm offensively. Now you've got guys from Stanford on a front that had to replace every starter. Now you're starting to lose some guys on that starting line. You've got to worry about the depth.
I think Stanford may have to try a run blitz to get some pressure up front, and Aziz Chatou. Well, that was a physical player. He just reached out and said, "You're not going anywhere."
And if you're thinking maybe it's a horse collar tackle, that doesn't come into play if the runner is between the two offensive tackles. But Chatou, a guy who's been banged up, missed a bunch of games last year with a knee injury. They're expecting him to really explode, a high-level guy that they just haven't got much out of because of injury.
4-man rush. Thorson throws underneath, and he got it to Christian Jones, and that is his value. A big target who can get open in the middle of the field. He's made 3 catches.
If you're a Northwestern fan, you have to be doing backflips of what you're seeing. This is just such a different team than you had last season.
Jackson.
Justin Jackson, the ball carrier.
For more on Jones, here's Jerry Punch.
Guys, until today, Christian Jones had not played on the football field since Thanksgiving of 2013. ACL tear, repair, rehab. Got it tweaked a little bit in the spring. They say he's not 100%, but because he didn't have the full reps in fall camp, but he's making a difference today.
Boy, he sure is. And Jerry, if you take away the leading receiver from 2012 and 2013, it leaves a gaping hole in your offensive scheme, and there was nobody to replace him at that spot.
No, and he's coming off on 3rd and 5, that inside receiver kind of spot you'd think he'd be there, which makes me feel like bringing a little bigger body in this might be an option type of run.
Got Warren Long in as the tailback, number 13. Instead, they go out in the flat, and this will be an interesting spot. Was he out of bounds? No, they give him a great spot on that. As he extended the ball, Dallas Lloyd, the converted quarterback, was the man who knocked him out of bounds.
What a terrific play call. You brought in the bigger body Dickerson for the receiver. What a great stretch that time by Dickerson to get the first down, but he runs out like he's running across the formation like it's going to be a run play and slips into the flat. Good play call.
Quarterback keeper. Thorson will get about 3, taken down by Callum Bailly again. He's out of Matthew, North Carolina. Northwestern's been impressive, haven't they?
Really impressive. And, you know, when we came last year, and it was just a disaster, a season for them. But they were talking about Thorson already. They said, we've got a guy that is highly recruited. You never know how good they're going to be, but we really think he has a chance to be special. They feel like he's kind of like a Mike Kafka. Bigger than Mike, but if you remember the brilliant career Kafka had.
Vitale, that's going to be ruled incomplete as the pass was low. Northwestern 5-7 a year ago. They missed 2 straight bowl games until then. Pat Fitzgerald had a streak of bowl games that went all the way back to 2007.
You know, on 3rd and 7, you don't have to get this all. This place of the field, you're outside of field goal range unless you pick up 10 or 15 yards. So I would think you're thinking about 4 downs here. Maybe a draw. You don't have to get it all here. I think you get 5 or 6, you're definitely going to go for it.
Solomon Vault, the new tailback. Quarterback keeper. He's got the first down and more. Thorson off to the races. Touchdown, Clayton Thorson, 42 yards. How about that? Recruited as a dual threat quarterback. Doesn't look that fast, but nobody caught him, did they?
They claim that he runs close to a 4.5, so in that 4.6 range. He's a taller guy. He doesn't have the first step explosive, but when he got in the open field, good block by Mike McHugh, and the safety in the corner couldn't get there.
Point after is good. 10 plays, 80 yards. 3 minutes and 42 seconds off the clock, and about 8 seconds off the clock on that one.
Eyes just got taken off of his responsibility. A terrific call, I think, by Mick McCall, the offensive coordinator, because it was really conservative. 3rd and 7, pick up 4 or 5, you're going to go for it. And not expecting to get a touchdown, but a nice surprise, I'm sure.
McCaffrey on the bounce, takes it across the 30. Adnan Virk has an update from the studio. Adnan. Adnan, thanks very much. Certainly we hope that young man will be okay. Ouch. Well, now Stanford in a position they didn't expect to be in, trailing Northwestern by 7. Came in as almost a 2-touchdown favorite.
I don't think any of our viewers or anybody expected this.
Hogan goes to work, throws underneath and complete. Anthony Walker makes the stop on Austin Hooper.
Now
Hooper, one of the country's best tight ends. Haven't seen much of him in this game. They've got another kid. They love their tight ends at Stanford. Dalton Schultz, number 9, who is a very physical player. They think he could be one of the best in the country at that spot. McCaffrey. Cut down, ball came loose. Guess who's there? Anthony Walker. Travion Henry is going to get credit for knocking it loose.
Great hit by Drew Smith, who came in. I think he helped knock it loose as well. Shoulder right on that elbow. Ball comes out. I think you got to credit Drew Smith with that one. I think
they got him at the same time.
Yeah, Henry may get it out. Let's see if Henry knocks it loose first. But boy, what a terrific tackle by Drew Smith. And there's Walker, just balanced and feeling good at that middle backer spot.
This is a throwback looking for the quarterback, and Thorson
short-armed it.
Yes, he did. He saw the safety coming. He saw Ronnie Harris off the corner. And it's a good thing he saw him out of the corner of his eye.
You cannot fault a guy who's 6'5" playing in his first college game when a ball is hanging up. It was not there. They go for the throw, for the throwback, and you cannot blame him. If I'm the offensive coordinator, I say, that's probably a good one not to go up and make a play on. You'd have been cut in half.
High snap, that's going to mess up the timing of the play, and Justin Jackson goes down. Well, you can just see Ronnie Harris saying, hey, don't come out here with that stuff.
Yeah, Andrew Scanlon, the receiver who lofted it up there. Stanford did a terrific job. They had the backside post, which was what they were trying to get, the longer throw covered, and then they had the quarterback coming out covered as well. So come back to play another day, young man. Good call.
3rd and 12 now. Can Northwestern take advantage of this turnover? Thorson running for his life and was trying to set up a screen to Solomon Vault.
And a mental error, I believe, by Stanford's defensive front. It looked like they were in the neutral zone.
Offside, defense number 17.
Holy cow, what a break.
Yeah,
Replay 3rd down.
You go from 4th down outside of field goal range, so Northwestern's probably going to have to go for it. And now you give them a 3rd, and we'll call it still a little long, 7. And now, if you're David Shaw, now Northwestern, they pick up 2 or 3, they're likely to go for it on 4th. So I think you just gave them at least 2 more offensive plays with that penalty.
Exactly. Draw play, Jackson. Swallowed up immediately by Callum Bailly, who's having a heck of a game from that outside linebacker spot.
And you're right on the edge of Jack Mitchell, the kicker's territory. They're not very comfortable at this, so this is why Northwestern's going to go for it here. And if with Thorson, the way he can run, the way I'm not sure I want him sitting in the pocket necessarily, but Stanford with only 3 down linemen, maybe you do leave him in the pocket. If they're not bringing a blitz.
From here, it would have been 52 into the breeze. Is that a catch? It is. The catch made it to 26-yard line by Christian Jones.
Stanford did bring 5, so they did bring pressure in this offensive line, which struggled last year. Just had a really rough year. Did an excellent job, and that was a nice job by Thorson. Came back to his 3rd read, and now we're going to get a review to see if that was an actual catch.
We'll get multiple looks at this.
Now, the ball can touch the ground. The ball can touch the ground. The question becomes, through the process of the catch, if the ground's not there, could he finish it? That's close. As he goes down, watch to see if that ball moves when it touches the ground. Let it roll. It's allowed to touch the ground. That's not. It's if the ground helps him make the catch.
That is so close.
It's got to be indisputable video evidence. Remember, that's the thing here.
And the call on the field is a catch.
So
how do you overturn that?
I mean, the ball's moving a little bit as it touches the ground. I have to be honest, I think this is a really tough decision for the replay booth.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. 1st down.
Yeah. It's just the call on the field is so important because then the burden of evidence is on. You have to prove the other case, and you can't do it.
Well,
when it's that close.
They actually confirmed it, which means they agreed with the call. So they said, yeah, it was a good call, and very close. The ball's allowed to touch the ground, but if they determine the ball helps finish the catch, then it's incomplete. And that time,
exactly.
It did look to me like Jones would have made the catch, so I think it was the right confirmation.
3:45 and counting, first half. Northwestern surprising Stanford. Jackson end around.
I don't know how much you need to do that down here. You've got a little bit of a run game going. You've got an option game going.
There have been some questionable play calls.
We got a broken face mask here for Blake Martinez. It looks like the buckles on the top broke off.
Jelani Roberts got the toss on that end around. It cost him 5 yards. Everything else is working. Trick plays can get you in a lot of trouble. Draw, Thorson. Solid tackle by Brennan Scarlett, who transferred from Cal. They said he was the best defensive lineman at Cal, has a year of eligibility remaining. So they've got him on the field. His brother, Cameron, a freshman running back.
And that's Brad North, the center that's had a couple of shaky snaps down, and they may have to get down to J.B. Butler, a freshman.
Starting center Brad North had to be helped off the field. So redshirt freshman J.B. Butler comes in, first snap of his career out of the shotgun. And Ed Cunningham, as a former center, not an easy way to go into the ballgame.
Well, and instead of going with Butler, the freshman, they actually moved the guard over last minute, Ian Park, to do that snap. I think they were a little worried about Butler on a 3rd and long against Stanford getting his first snap. So Ian Park moved over, and now you're in, because you got no yardage, you're in, getting towards career long territory here for Jack Mitchell.
This will be a 48-yard try. He's already hit from 31. He's got the leg, but it's wide. And now for today's Aflac trivia question. David Shaw, Stanford coach, one of 3 to lead a team to a BCS Bowl in each of his first 3 seasons as a head coach. Who are the other 2? You might get one. You're not going to get the other one.
Mike Bellotti and Butch Davis.
Neither.
Those are my 2 guesses.
Congratulations, you missed.
Colleagues of ours now, by the way.
Yes.
Well, Larry's coaching again, but excuse me, Butch Davis is on with us. Says Mike Bellotti.
Stanford now 2:35 to go in the half. Can they get something going on offense again? Rollins Stallworth makes the grab.
Have all your timeouts, but you do want to go quickly, so you see the hurry up here by Stanford. You don't want to burn too much time. You got a lot of field to go, and you don't want to have to rely on your timeouts until the end if you can. Outside
of the one drive, Northwestern has done a great job against this offense, and an offense that features Kevin Hogan, a 5th-year senior
and if
at
you're
quarterback.
And if you're Northwestern here on 3rd down, I'm not sure you use one of your remaining timeouts, but you've got to start thinking a little aggressively if you're Northwestern, too. Don't get caught off guard here. You're the one in the lead. Keep your foot on the gas.
4 wide receivers in this set. 4-man rush. Hogan under pressure throws, and it looked like a catch at the 49-yard line. Francis Owusu, and an official comes in late and said no grab. Dean Lowry was putting the pressure on Hogan.
And now because of the incomplete pass, the clock stops before 4th down. Yeah, that ball came loose. You could see the left hand come off. They're very different than what you saw with Christian Jones a moment ago. And look at this, 3 timeouts for Northwestern, 1:38. They have a true redshirt freshman quarterback. I'm not sure how risky they will get, but you have tons of time. The college game, of course, clock stops out of bounds and for 1st down. So
Robinson to kick to Schuler. Angles it toward the sideline again, and Schuler fumbles the ball out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. A 46-yard kick, a chance to check in with Adnan Virk.
Ball spotted on the 18-yard line. Northwestern will start first and 10.
Cats are looking strong.
Yeah, Dan, thanks so much. We'll be watching.
Clayton Thorson's a name to know.
Yes, it is.
He's playing well.
It's a great name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Jackson to the outside. Gets out of bounds to stop the clock. Kevin Palma, number 44, dragged him out.
Now this gets interesting. If I'm Stanford, I'm sitting on this timeout. Just got a break because the running back went out of bounds. If you're going to run it, you want your running back staying in bounds. I think the idea here for Northwestern, and I understand it with a young quarterback, let's not make a mistake. If we get out to the 40 or so, maybe we take some shots. But Stanford, I think, has to start thinking about those 3 timeouts, try to get the ball back for their senior quarterback.
Clock's running, 1:12 and counting.
I can see why you wouldn't call it here on the 3rd down. If they pick it up, it would have been a waste.
No, I think you should have called the timeout. You've just burned another 20 seconds off of this thing.
Yeah, if I'm Northwestern, I'm in no hurry to run this play, and a little surprised if Stanford uses none of these timeouts. This is just an awfully conservative to save some time for their offense and try to force a punt at least.
Thorson almost had it picked. Threw it off target, intended for Vitale. Now he's made some great plays, but he has been very fortunate on throws that could have been picked.
And really, for Stanford, with the incomplete pass on first, you wouldn't call a timeout after a first down. You called 2nd and 3rd with this many timeouts, but they get a little break now if they can get a stop after this one and start using those timeouts.
Timeout.
Northwestern will take
their first
one.
of the half.
I think they want to
30
talk
seconds
about
in
the
length.
strategy at this point. We'll give you our Aflac trivia answer. The question was 13. And he succeeded Jim Harbaugh. I think it's great that Harbaugh is back in college coaching. He's good for the game. You know he's going to win.
Tough loss for Michigan against Utah, but you do know eventually it'll turn.
Give him a couple of years. He's going to have a powerhouse.
The question is, how long do you think, if you're a Michigan fan, that does he stick around?
I think he's there for the long haul. Warren Long gets the call for Northwestern.
If I'm Northwestern, I'm not. I mean, keep running it, because what if you pop one? But now the question becomes, what if you fumble? I mean, now you don't even have, if the idea is to get to halftime, you don't have to even hand this ball off. And I think for Stanford, because of that first down, I'd like to have seen them use a couple first downs to try to, or timeouts to get the ball back, but because Northwestern was able to pick up some good running yards, just nothing there.
I think this is the right choice. Go to the locker room and celebrate exactly what you have done in the first half. Great show for the Wildcats, who came in 2-touchdown underdogs. But now at the half, our score is Northwestern 10 and Stanford 3. And we send you to Adnan Virk for the Lexus halftime report.
Has been a little shocking. Northwestern last year was not good offensively. Stanford, one of the best in the country, of course, replacing almost every starter. Doesn't look like those starters have quite figured it out yet.
And a beautiful kickoff goes out of the end zone. They'll start from the 20. Now let's take a look at today's AT&T Strong performance.
That was a strong start by Clayton Thorson, his first start in college. Conservative call on 3rd and 7. They went with a quarterback draw, but sometimes you take those conservative calls to the house. And the defense for Northwestern, and some people think it might be the best defense that Pat Fitzgerald has had in his 10 years here. Certainly Anthony Walker having a monster game. Drew Smith causes the fumble. Walker had the tackle before, and then he picks up the fumble there. It's been a heck of a defensive performance for Northwestern so far.
Thorson running the option, gets it to Solomon Valters. The flag down, however.
I think they're going to get Christian Jones for holding.
Holding, offense number 14. 10-yard penalty.
Yeah, it is.
Replay first down.
Do you know how I knew it was Christian Jones? Because as soon as the play was over and the flag was down, he said, "I didn't do that." That's how you know right away. They got the edge a little bit. Jones, a bigger guy at 225 pounds, legally using his hands there to hold on to Stanford defender, and that's why they were able to get the edge. Big penalty, though. Think about, get that first down run, get some momentum, and now you're at 1st and 20.
Thorson in the gun, gives to Jackson. Makes one man miss, cuts it back, picks up about 8 yards. What a nice fake. Looked like Kevin Palmer, just left with nothing but air to tackle.
That was a heck of a move. And one of the things when we were talking to Justin Jackson yesterday, his second year, had to play probably earlier than he thought last year, but just feeling more comfortable, seeing things better. Very calm in that move.
Jackson Palma makes the stop this time.
Wanted to forget about that last one as quickly as possible. Let me get to the next play.
Good way to do it.
Yeah. And what a good job by Northwestern after the big penalty, cutting it down into a 3rd and 7, which has been makeable for them. And this is that down and distance where they ran the quarterback draw last time.
Stanford comes with a 6-man rush. They don't get there, but he felt the pressure anyway and threw it short of Christian Jones as he was cutting toward the outside.
It's the first time we really see Aziz Chatou getting some pressure, a guy that they expect great things out of. He's battled a bunch of injuries, got a little pressure there. So good start for Stanford defensively. See if their offense can get something going.
Nice Wander will come on to kick to McCaffrey, who waits at the 28. Nice Wander last year only had 5 kicks for 36 yards. Won the punting job in camp. This is not a good kick. Short end over end rugby style. Doesn't get much of a roll. Will die at the 32-yard line. The contenders in the National League Central clash as the playoff race heats up. McCutcheon, the reigning MVP, and the Pirates against the Cardinals and sensational rookie Stephen Piscotty. All he did is call him up for the minors, and he's hitting .340. Baseball tonight. Get your coverage started 7 Eastern, then the Bucks and the Cards at 8. Baseball Rules on ESPN. Stanford trying to get something going on offense. They had one terrific drive, and they bogged down inside the 20 and had to settle for a field goal, and that's been it. And they're going to have to burn a timeout on the first play from scrimmage in the second half. Not a good sign for the Cardinal as we start the third quarter. That's not good.
Done up front. Run blocking, pass blocking. It's what happens up front that makes a difference. I asked him about playing it close to the vest on 3rd and long twice. He handed it off instead of throwing it. He said it's all their game plan, and that's what they'll do in the second half.
All right, Jerry, they start from their 31 on this drive. Let's see what kind of plays they want to call here. They'll give it to McCaffrey. McCaffrey with his best run of the day. Into Northwestern territory. Igwe Buke had to make the tackle, but it's a 26-yard gain.
Linebackers, they blitzed to the wrong side. They had a linebacker blitz. They left that side wide open. Both Walker and Prater were blitzing over to their right. The run was going to the other right, their left, and they vacated a huge hole.
Power I formation. McCaffrey gets about 4. He comes by his talent legitimately. His dad, Ed, was an exceptional wide receiver. His mother, Lisa, was an outstanding college soccer player. His grandfather won the silver medal in the 100-yard dash in the Olympics, so he's got some genes working for him.
Apparently 5 of his siblings are now in Cirque du Soleil. Not true. That would be cool.
No, but an interesting thought. Hogan rifles this one in there, and the receiver wants a flag. Not going to get it. It's Austin Hooper, the tight end. He thought he was interfered with. Looked like a pretty good hit from Igwe Buke.
Now the officials call when a receiver gets hit right about the same time as the ball, and we'll see if Hooper's able to hang on to this. We're watching it in slow motion. So it may look, wow, that was a really good job coming over the back there to knock that down by Igwe Buke. But that was good timing. Wasn't there too early.
Hogan, under pressure, throws, almost had it picked. That's the only mistake Anthony Walker's made today. Had a chance at an interception, and it's off his hands.
And, if you're Stanford, you're right at the edge of field goal range. This is not something you're comfortable with Ukropina. This is not the down or the distance that you feel comfortable kicking it. And so Boy, this is really conservative ball.
This is the punt
really
team.
conservative ball.
Because this is no man's land.
Yeah,
right
I mean, if you pick up 2 or 3 yards and you're back on defense, you still have a long field to go. I just don't. Stanford has been playing this incredibly conservatively. And I know that's their system, but
Robinson trying to pooch it inside the 10.
I mean, you're
and had the forward spin, and it goes into the end zone.
Yeah, so you're gaining essentially 18 yards of field position with that punt. This is entirely too conservative, I think.
Didn't turn out well, that's for sure. The Wildcats trying to surprise Stanford here. 10-3, they take over at their 20. Jerry Punch points out that Ukropina, the field goal kicker for Stanford, missed a couple from 52 wide left in warm-ups, but they certainly had the wind at his back on that possession. They could have run a 4th down play and gone for it. Instead, they choose to punt, pick up only 18 net yards.
Strong wind at his back. You do have to watch kickers in warm-ups because they're going to be different each time they go out. It's like a golfer, how well they're hitting the ball that day. But there was a strong tailwind, and also just the conservative call to punt it. You're just not gaining a whole bunch.
Jackson puts his shoulder down and drags a couple of tacklers with him. Blake Martinez was in on the stop. That's the wind he had at his back.
And that could come into play.
5, maybe 10 yards.
Yeah, and that'll come into play maybe towards the end of the game. Northwestern now into the wind in the 3rd quarter. They will flip. So if this comes down to a long field goal to tie or win it at the end in regulation, that wind looks like it may play a big factor. Pretty strong right to left.
3rd and 4 for Clayton Thorson. Rush in his face. He gets it underneath and complete for a 1st down. Miles Brewer out of Long Branch, New Jersey, a transfer from Rutgers, who's a pretty good slot receiver with his quickness, has enough for the 1st down.
That's Brennan Scarlett right into the middle there. Good job by the quarterback, young quarterback, able to step in, knew the pressure was coming, good accurate throw.
Warren Long, nothing doing as Stanford stands tall, and it's Brennan Scarlett again.
You mentioned the graduate transfer from Cal. It's kind of a tough one for Cal to take. Their best defensive lineman decides to transfer to Stanford. Of course, Stanford and Cal of big game fame.
Well, academics had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Pretty good at both places.
Blitz coming, quarterback draw, there's a flag down.
But that graduate transfer rule has really played a big deal in college football.
Yes, it has.
Offside, defense number 15, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, replay 2nd down.
Jerry Punch has more on Northwestern's situation at center. What do you have, Doc?
Yeah, Mike, Brad North, left ankle, questionable coming back. They've moved Ian Park from guard to center, and he went out in the 1st half himself with an ankle sprain. He's been retaped in the left ankle. He's subbing for North.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Here's Long. Stanford trying to rip the ball out. It'll be 3rd and long. Warren Long out of Union City, California, only had 30 carries a year ago and rushed for 123 yards.
And there's Brad North making his first start. What a bummer that he get hurt in the first game. Good to see him with his pads on. We hope that it's not too long-term. But Park, one of the guys to mix in there in the middle, get a nice block that time, and the snaps have been very clean since he's been in there at center.
3rd and long 5. That ball appeared to almost go end over end out of Clayton Thorson's hand, and it's incomplete.
Not sure that ball didn't get tipped.
May have.
As Thorson was releasing it, because that was certainly looked like they had it, but maybe. Oh, yeah, right there.
Yeah, Scarlett again.
Yeah.
3 really good defensive efforts in a row for that young man.
Good athlete. Another guy we were talking about, too, and all the injuries he's been through. That guy's never really had a fully healthy season, was never able to play in the big game against Stanford.
Nice wonder. Floats that one up there. Fair catch made at the 29-yard line. 33-yard kick. No return. The playoff push starts with Saturday Night Football. Number 20, Wisconsin, against number 3, Alabama, tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC, as well as streaming live at home and on the go with Watch ESPN.
If I'm a Wisconsin fan and I know that we're breaking in 3 new offensive linemen, had some injuries during training camp, and we don't have Melvin Gordon anymore. And Corey Clement's a really good back, but Melvin Gordon was one of those guys who he's just a little bit different than a lot of people. With that defensive front from Alabama, I don't know how easy sledding that's going to be.
Well, that's for sure. Hogan fires complete to Hooper. Preseason first-team All-Pac-12 as a tight end.
You know, you got Michael Rector. I mentioned that he was out in the first half, finishing off a rules violation punishment. He's their fastest receiver now back in. We have not seen Hogan really stretch the field at all, which is shocking, as well as they threw it last year at the end of the year, so maybe they will with Rector.
McCaffrey, again, across the 40. Should have enough for a first down as Walker makes another tackle. Walker's a good one, a middle linebacker. 8 tackles so far.
What they liked for him was last year was his freshman year, but it was his redshirt freshman year. So he got a full year on campus in the weight room, gaining some weight, learning how to take blocks on. So when he was forced in last year, it wasn't like a true freshman. And he stepped right in, had a great game against Penn State early, interception return for a touchdown. It's a good front.
McCaffrey runs into Daniel Marks, his fullback, as he was being stiffed, and Prater comes over to help on the tackle.
If I'm a Stanford fan, I'm a little panicked early in this season.
And, well, you should.
Last year, they really surged offensively at the end to catch up to what was a great defense. Now the defense with all the turnover.
Substitution, offense number 18. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Stanford is the team that's making the mistakes right now.
Yeah. A couple defensive offsides that helped drives for Stanford, but if I'm a Stanford fan, I'm saying, wait a minute. The offense was supposed to be a juggernaut this year, 35, 40 points a game, and here we are playing Northwestern, who has a good front. I don't want to take that away from them, but if you're a Stanford fan, you're saying, well, what happens when we play USC? What happens when we play Oregon? What happens against those guys?
To the sideline, that looks like it's out of bounds. Rector made the catch, but the momentum of his leap took him across the sideline. He's a big target at 6'1", 189 out of Gig Harbor, Washington.
Just a little off by Hogan. He's just not quite as sharp. Well, he hasn't been able to get in a rhythm, but now here you are on that 3rd and long again. Let's see if they go conservative and run the ball, or if they allow Hogan to get one down the field. With Rector in the game and that speed, I'd be shocked if they don't.
He's only thrown for 61 yards in this game. Here comes more pressure. Hogan gets away, throws on the run, and a beautiful defensive play right at the end. Nick Van Hoos, all Big Ten second team. Great closing speed and got a hand on it.
Hogan had to reload to throw this, and it gave Van Hoos time to get there. Good pressure up the middle by Northwestern, and you see that ball, not quite a tight spiral, was there a little slower than you'd want it to be, and Van Hoos gets in there and knocks it away. Excellent job, but it was the scramble, a little bit of a reload, and a wobbly ball that got it there late.
So Robinson has to come on to punt again. Schuler is deep, standing inside his own 25-yard line. Beautiful kick by Robinson. Drives Schuler all the way back to the 12. No blocking to speak of. Gets back to the 18-yard line after a 52-yard boomer. And Northwestern will start deep in its own territory. Almost every night, students guard the rock for 24 hours. Then they get the privilege of painting it. Thorson on a roll.
That was a backwards pass. Ooh. Heads-up play.
Beautifully defensed as well.
Yeah, Austin Carr. That was a really heads-up play by Austin Carr, the wide receiver. This was a backwards pass, and Carr, very heads-up, was over there blocking, able to pick it up. But for Carr to know right here that I better go get this ball, that's a bright ball player, because if Stanford picks that up, how much does that change the game?
Cody Whitfield nearly had a spectacular
offside,
play.
Defense number 90 in the neutral zone with contact. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Isn't that 3 times
on
for
the
that?
Defensive line? Yep.
Ouch.
And Randy Hart, the longtime defensive line coach. talking to him before the game. He was at the University of Washington when I was there, and he said this is the first time in my 46 years of coaching, 46, that I had 0 returning starters on my group.
Jackson cuts it outside. Cuts it outside again, making people miss. Justin Jackson, but there is a flag down. Back at the 20-yard line.
Number 80, 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
That's Austin Carr trying to get a block on the edge.
So he just gave back that great play of recovering the
exactly
backwards pass. This is a guy, Austin Carr, who maybe had the best camp of anybody. There it is, yep. And just not quite letting go of Terrence Alexander soon enough. Good call.
When they see that jersey stretch, that's an easy call.
Carr had a terrific camp. Really great route runner. Good hands.
19 Northwestern.
2nd and 19. They'll give it off to Solomon. Vault breaks a tackle. There have been several of those, these hard-running Northwestern running backs.
Anyway, go back to Randy Hart, the defensive line coach for Stanford. I've known Randy forever. Like I mentioned, he was at the University of Washington when I was there. But Randy's been in this business 46 years coaching. One of the best defensive line coaches you'll ever see. I was visiting with him before the game, and he said, I've never seen anything like this. I've never had not one starter back, not anybody with deep starting experience back on my defensive line. And he was pretty nervous coming in. You can see they've got some growing to do.
3rd and long. Thorson out to Jones, and Jones gets to the 32-yard line, and Christian Jones picks up a first down.
This Stanford defense, when people were talking about Stanford being a potential dark horse, win the Pac-12, maybe get in the championship, you look at 9 returning starters or 9 missing starters from last year's defense, and you think, okay, but Stanford's been good. Right now, they look a little lost. They look like they're tired. This is a 3rd and forever. You cannot continue to bail out on the one side. It's just a late job by the nickelback, Terrence Alexander, and this is a matchup that they loved with Jones.
If you're a Northwestern player right now, you are starting to believe that, hey, not only do we have a shot, but we can dominate these guys.
You see the offensive line there? Just see how much push they got on that running play? You're up 10-3 the way your offense is going. I'd start pounding these guys a little bit.
This time, they get back maybe to the line of scrimmage. Solomon Vault swallowed up by Anderson.
And if you're Northwestern right here, and this is hard for people who kind of think of football as a field position game, this is actually a spot I think you should go for it. The percentages say that it's in your favor here. I know it's on the other side of the field, but and I'm not faulting the call. I get it. You're up 7 in a game that you thought would be tough to win, but this is a space you could go for.
The numbers may say you've got a shot, and that's going to be interference with a chance to catch the ball.
Boy, that was really dangerous by Keith Watkins.
Ran into the receiver.
And really kind of threw himself at him before the ball got there. I don't know that we're going to get a targeting call, but Watkins has got to be really
There's
careful.
no foul for kick-catch interference. The kicking team player was blocked into the receiver. First down.
While we can, let's check into the studio. We'll get this call. Adnan, thank you so much. They'll start from the 20. Stanford unable to get anything going after that opening drive. They have been throttled. Let's take a look at that no call on this punt play.
I just want to see that. So what happened? Well, but before that, he was being blocked. He was being blocked by Elijah Holder. And so because he was being blocked, the contact is allowed. But you couldn't see it quite on that replay, but he was being blocked.
The only way he could influence his path was to push him in the back. If he pushed him in the back,
then it's a
that's
penalty.
a penalty.
Yeah, no, Northwestern, I feel like, got a little lucky on that play.
Absolutely. Now Stanford just trying to wedge out some yardage. They've got a 3rd and 2 here from their own 29. Gibson and Robbins were in on that last stop. And Barry Sanders, yes, the son of the Barry Sanders, with a chance to carry the ball.
You know, this is a place 3rd and short, play action pass. You got a senior quarterback. You haven't taken many shots. You're in a gun, so a little hard to get the play fake.
McCaffrey is offset left, and there's another flag down.
Just total confusion on the right side by the receivers.
Illegal substitution. Offense. Breaking the huddle with 12 players. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's 2 of those.
And Dalton Schultz was out there. They weren't sure where they were lining up, and now
changes everything.
Yeah, you go from a 3rd and 1 to a 3rd and 7, which has been a very conservative down for Stanford so far today. This has almost exclusively been a running down.
Well, there's 3:09 left in the 3rd quarter. There comes a point where you've got to throw the conservative chart out the window and try to make something happen. Blitz coming. They don't get there. Ball's thrown up, out of bounds. Hooper made the catch at the sideline but couldn't get a foot down, and that ball floated for a long time off the hand of Kevin Hogan.
Yeah, it wasn't a good throw. It looked like it may have come out funny from his hand. Right when he let it go, the ball looked like it already started to wobble. And when you throw that corner, it's a really hard timing route. And that ball was thrown a little bit late, it hung, and then it actually got out of bounds. So not quite the crisp nature of passer that we saw last year at the end of the season for Hogan yet, but I think it's also very conservative play calling, maybe not quite in a rhythm yet.
Hunters have been extremely active today. That ball's out of bounds. They've had some problems with spotting the ball on punts. And that one's out of bounds to the 37-yard line. I think they had a bad mark on that one as well. The Buckeyes start their title defense on Monday night against the Hokies of Virginia Tech, 8 o'clock Eastern, streaming live at home on the go. Watch ESPN. Now let's take a look at this week's AP rankings, brought to you by Goodyear, the defending national champions, on top of the opening rankings. TCU had a tough time with Minnesota.
And I think Minnesota, you look at the West and the way Northwestern's playing now, I think the West is going to be a jumbled mess. You've got to figure Northwestern, if they can continue playing like this and improve, there is no real standout team in the West. I think you've got to look at Wisconsin and Minnesota. And with Northwestern coming back, there's just going to be a few teams. Iowa might get in that mix, but I'm not sure there's anybody in the West who you're thinking is going to run away with it. But Minnesota, awfully good on defense the other night, and Trevon Boykin not quite looking Heisman ready. Played well enough to win.
And now every tick off the clock becomes important for Northwestern, nursing this 7-point lead. North back in at center. Thorson on the keeper. That was the one big play they had in this game, but not this time, as he stopped by Aziz Shitu.
So that lets your best 5 get back on the field. You get to put Park back at left guard. He did a really nice job, Park did, while he was in there at center. Had North a couple of tough snaps early, but was kind of helped off with an ankle injury. Seems to be playing through it.
Remember, Northwestern is also going to have the wind at their back in the 4th quarter. Stanford hasn't been able to take advantage of that. Jackson got the first down.
Callum Bailly, just the Stanford linebackers right now, everybody looks half a step behind in those white jerseys. This is just a simple swing. There's not much to this. It is tough to defend as a linebacker because you have to make sure there's no run first. But
quickly back to the ground. Jackson will pick up 2 or 3 on this one. Got a Carroll Stream, Illinois, not that far from here.
I asked him what was going to be easier between his freshman and sophomore year, and he said, I got a car. I thought, that
does make it easier.
A little easier.
He had the 5th best rushing average in the Power 5 conferences for freshmen a year ago. Averaged 98.9 yards a game when they were having trouble throwing the ball, so you know how good he is.
And blocking people.
Yes. Straight up the middle goes Warren Long after he cut it back long inside the 40-yard line. It's another Northwestern first down.
Watch the left guard, Ian Park. Just a dominating block on Solomon Thomas. Just bodied him up, moved him 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's what you expect to see from the Stanford offensive line, not from Northwestern. And this game is...
And the Wildcats do not have to snap the ball. They're going to let the third quarter run out, and they will get a standing ovation as they go to the sideline, and they've earned that.
This game is just...
Northwestern leading Stanford 10-3 with 15 minutes to go. The Wildcats have the ball at the Stanford 39-yard line.
And starting to get push in the running game. Starting to see fatigue set in for this young, not deep defensive front for Stanford.
Thorson runs the option, has to reverse his course. Good decision by Clayton Thorson, and we go to the field and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Hey, guys, last year, Pat Fitzgerald said when they broke fall camp, they had a little over 60 players healthy. That's all they had, scholarship players healthy. This year, they did not lose a single player in fall camp to a soft tissue injury. That's the depth he's been looking for a couple of years.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Here's Justin Jackson again. And it's a real thrill for us to have Jerry Punch back on the sidelines, by the way. Does a wonderful
2006
job.
was his last college game for, as Reese called him, the football doctor. Been away doing NASCAR, but this is...
Big play here,
shocking.
3rd and 3, and they've got another first down. They are more physical today than the Stanford Cardinals, a team that has always been known for being physical.
And unfortunately for Northwestern, Shane Mertz, the right guard, who's played really well today. And remember, he is in for... They don't quite have the depth because Matt Frazier, who's the strongest player on the team, another guard, is out with an infection that hasn't cleared up. They expect him back, but this offensive line is just starting to bend these guys back.
And it looked like Aziz Chatou is also injured for the Cardinals. For each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. First down for Northwestern, trying to extend its lead. Jackson to the outside, 10, 5, and forced out of bounds. Blake Martinez saved the touchdown, at least temporarily.
This is a really impressive runner. He does not look like he's gaining as much ground as he is. I mentioned that earlier in the game, just so smooth, but Stanford's just getting blocked. They're going to go look at the film. And all they're going to see people in the right place, but they're going to see people getting just blocked on every play, especially in the second half.
Jackson has 116 yards rushing on 23 carries. Ronnie Harris came up from the corner to make the stop.
I'm not sure how much you want to throw it here if you're Mick McCall, the offensive coordinator for Northwestern. You seem to have control of this game, but I think you want to get away from all of those bodies right around the line of scrimmage. Maybe look at an option for Clayton Thomas, get out for a speed or something like that. But I don't know that you're throwing it.
Well, a field goal makes it a 2-score game. Jackson again. Hit at the 2 and pushed back.
Justin Jackson, the ball carrier.
Here's where I always feel this is the one. If you're going to do something a little different, this is the one. Pack it in.
They've had some success with that option look. This is not a bad place to try that either. Although you worry about the pitch.
Yep. Not sure I don't know if I want to run this between the tackles if I'm Northwestern. Certainly kicking it on 4th.
Jackson, Thorson keeps. Throws to the end zone, almost picked again. How dangerous was that? Every time they have thrown the ball into the end zone, it has been virtually up for grabs.
You've got to. This is one you go to your quarterback and say, look, we're calling you can run this or just throw it away, but don't force it back inside. Do not force this ball. And that ball was forced. He had to throw it back across his body. That's one to grow on for a young quarterback. You don't want to throw that ball.
That ball was not going to fit in anywhere. Mitchell now He's 1 for 2, made it from 31, missed from 48. This to make it a 2-score game, and he drills it through. Basically an extra point, and Pat Fitzgerald has watched his underdog Wildcats take a 13-3 lead. This is a stunning opening game for Northwestern. McCaffrey driven 9 yards deep. He'll start from there. We check in with Adnan Burke. Adnan. Adnan, thank you. This has become a dominant performance. Look at the total yards, 289 to 140. Ed, they are just overpowering.
And only 40 offensive snaps for Stanford. And we've talked about this Northwestern defense, how much better they are, how much fresher they are than their counterparts from Stanford, who look just worn out.
Hogan's really got to get it going.
And what
Kajewski made that catch.
And what you have to think about if you're Stanford, you mentioned they're down 2 scores now, 12-15 left in the fourth quarter. The way Northwestern has been able to control the clock and run the ball, I don't know how much time you want to waste. Clock running again, college football, except when you're inside of 1 minute. The clock stops when it's set for the ready after out of bounds. So let's see how much clock is ticking away and see how much time it takes Stanford to get their offense going.
Kajus could be a factor here. He's coming off of an off-season ankle injury, but he's a very good wide receiver. Hogan steps up. And right in the arms of Michael Rector. His speed got him open, but his hands betrayed him. Nice throw by Hogan.
Coverage there by Igwebuike. But it's one of those, the ball hangs in the air forever, and you talk to receivers who say, not a great spiral. Most receivers say they'd rather catch a ball that isn't quite a clean spiral. But the mistake there, letting that ball come all the way down to the body. You got to get it away from your body a little bit. Some guys just don't quite have the natural hands. But I'm not sure Rector scores, but he probably does, and we have a whole different game all of a sudden. And instead, we're back to 2nd and 10.
Hogan looks left and throws right to McCaffrey. McCaffrey spun down at the 48-yard line. Boy, those big plays, those are the ones you have to hit. And Matthew Harris told us when we had a chance to meet with him the other day, Hogan is not afraid to go deep. He trusts his receivers, and we have to be careful of that. That time he got open, and they couldn't convert.
And again, probably a run play here, but why not try a run action pass? See if you can't get one. You're down 2 scores. Your defense is just worn out.
3rd and a yard. McCaffrey got the first down, crosses midfield into Wildcat territory where Dean Lowry made the stop.
Mentioned earlier, Christian's father, Ed, was a star at Stanford, went on to win 3 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos.
What a great receiver he was. Tall, rangy. 2 scores down, not too early to look at the clock. 10:44 and counting. Kajust adjusting his position. Gunned over the middle and dropped again, right in the hands of Dalton Schultz, the backup tight end, and the best thing he does is catch the ball. He's got great hands.
Let's see if Prater gets a hand on it right before it.
May have tipped it.
Maybe got a hand on it, but you do expect Schultz playing for the first time, the highest rated recruit in the country at tight end 2 years ago. But I'm not so sure that Prater did not get a finger on that right before it got to him.
When the ball changes trajectory, it makes it that much more difficult. 3-man rush for Northwestern. Hogan throws it, it's intercepted. Picked off by Kyle Cairo. There is a flag down. Was it interference?
If not defensive holding, it'll be interference on Anthony Walker. He clearly...
Pass interference. Defense number 18. The ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
got there just a touch early and knocked Austin Hooper, who was going to make a play. Good call by the back judge. It's on the right side of your screen. You see 18. He'll come right into the middle. And you just saw the body move there. I'm not so sure if that PI doesn't happen if that ball's still not picked. I'm not sure that Hogan was on target even without the pass interference, but good break for Stanford and the right call.
A critical call for the Cardinal of a first down at the 41-yard line instead of a pick. Trying to get outside, Ramond Wright. Jalen Prater came from his left linebacker spot to push him out of bounds.
How much different do the guys in purple look getting off blocks than the guys in white did?
Isn't it?
Pat Fitzgerald, of course, best linebackers in the history of this school, won a Rose Bowl as a linebacker, won a bunch of hardware. And he mentioned at halftime to Jerry Punch how happy, and that's defense coordinator Mike Hankwitz, how happy they were with their first game tackling. It's been pretty crisp the entire game.
Play clock's down to 7 already. Stanford took an eternity to call a play. McCaffrey stuffed as he got to the 36-yard line. You have to think this is 4-down territory no matter what here.
Well, you're down 2 scores, and a lot of it is just that clock is starting to melt. I know that your defense is getting a little bit of a rest because your offense is out there, but your defense is gassed. I just don't think your defense has an effort to stop Northwestern. And so you keep letting this clock melt when you're down 2 scores, and you're going to find yourself having to rush or panic to try to get the ball back at the end potentially.
Inside 9 minutes, 3rd and 5. Hogan throws, almost intercepted by Walker. That's 2 picks he's dropped today.
And I'm not sure he doesn't walk in with that one because there was pressure. So the offensive line and Hogan were knocked down, and it's the pressure that I think makes the throw. Hogan just fell away from that. He tried to do a jump throw. Instead of stepping into pressure, you could see him switch his feet. That made the ball come out a little softer. Gibson, good pressure.
He would have high-stepped all the way. This could be the ball game right here. 4th and 5.
Got to let Hogan throw it. You got 2 receivers to the top. Looks like you may work that side. No safety help.
4-man rush. Good protection. Throws underneath. Has enough for the first down. A perfect strike to Rector.
Nice job by Hogan that time. Looked over to the left and came back to Hector. This is what you need your senior quarterback to do. We call something that's going to be open. You got to hit it and give Rector some credit. He was the guy who dropped the long throw. So good throw and catch to pick up the first down, because I agree, Mike, you don't pick that up, this ball game's probably over.
Especially the way Northwestern's been able to control the ground game and burn the clock. Hogan has McCaffrey beside him and 4 wide receivers. Hogan, deep and incomplete. Intended for his tight end, Greg Tabuada, out of Atlanta, Georgia, another big tight end, and that's what they recruit. Guys are 6'5", 240, 250 who can run.
Yeah, and he just missed Tabuada. This has not been what we saw earlier. You can see that ball was high from the start, thrown flat, didn't have any air on it. And this just is not quite the same Kevin Hogan we saw at the end of last season. Shred Maryland in the Foster Farms Bowl, shred UCLA, one of the better defenses in the conference.
Eddie's only 50% today, 12 out of 24. Good time here, and Hogan throws again. That ball may be out of bounds, and it is.
I'm not sure, though, that Anthony Walker, once again, the middle linebacker, playing a great game for Northwestern, gets a little pressure. I'm not sure that this ball wasn't tipped. Nope. But that's another inaccurate throw. You throw it that far out of bounds, you're not giving your guy a chance to make the catch.
You're right, and that's 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. And now if you're Stanford, remember you're down a touchdown and a field goal, so you don't have to necessarily have a touchdown here. So I don't know that this is not going to be 4-down territory necessarily.
3rd and 10. That ball tipped a little bit as it came out, and it's going to be about 4 yards shy of a first down. It was complete to Schultz. Igwe Biuke made the tackle. It would be about 38 yards from here into a breeze. Ukropina will come on to try the field goal. This would make it a one-score game. Otherwise, Stanford in a world of hurt. And Ukropina comes through with 7:26 to go in the ball game. He has made it a 7-point game. 7:26 left.
Everett as it comes.
Stanford will kick it away. The question is, can they finally stop this Northwestern offense that's helped burn a lot of clock?
We'll go back to this last drive. It ended up with, we look back to a Cars.com drive recap. It was a tough one for Kevin Hogan. Couple of drops. This one, Rector maybe walks in for the end zone, drops it. Guy who was suspended in the first half for violation of team rules. Then ball maybe tipped a little bit, but over the middle, incomplete to Schultz. Then almost an INT for a touchdown by falling backwards, and then Hogan just overthrows to Boada, a 6'6" tight end by a mile. They end up with a field goal to cut it to one score. However, not been quite the game that we expected to see out of Kevin Hogan, who played so brilliantly in the last 3 games of last season.
But to play clock in college, you don't need many first downs to burn up a lot of time. Thorson hands it off to Warren Long. And Long belted for a loss of a couple. Whitford and Anderson combined on the tackle. Now, how conservative are you going to be if you're Northwestern?
pretty conservative, but 7 points. Stanford at times has been able to move the ball when they kind of focus in.
Blitz coming. Allen with the, or Warren Long with the carry again. Gets the yardage back that he lost. Aziz Shitu made the tackle. It's going to be 3rd and about 8.
Yeah, I think after that throw on the third down,
could have done it.
Where Thorson almost did the pick. I think that sealed the fate. I think here, be shocked if it's anything other than a really simple throw right in front of him.
Solomon Vault is the tailback, number 4, to the left of Clayton Thorson. Straight back to throw. Floats it for the sideline. Handsome man, and it's caught over there by Schuler. Miles Schuler. That was a nice throw by Thorson. 25 yards.
And Thorson, one thing I noticed studying the practice film from camp was he throws the ball on time. And this ball, he threw it right on rhythm. Excellent throw. Schuler gave himself space on the sideline. And what a safe throw. You throw that fade, that almost never gets intercepted. So a good call by Mick McCall to go with a conservative, and then players execute it.
We go inside 6 minutes with Justin Jackson on the carry. If you're a Northwestern player right now, you can taste it, can't you?
And what's great for them is their offensive line has played so well. That is just something they didn't have last year. Guys were hurt. They didn't have any speed on the outside. 217 rushing yards against a defense that was, again, 9 guys more last year for Stanford, but was one of the best in the country. This is just a head-scratcher.
Jackson again. Big hole. Jackson, first down at the 36. Stanford, 3 more chances to run the ball and burn the clock.
Stanford's defense looks like the scout team right now. They just can't get off a block. It literally looks like you're watching the first-team offense against a bunch of young guys giving them a look. I have not seen a white jersey strike, throw, and get off a block since about middle of the second quarter. This is quite impressive for Northwestern, and I'd be a little shocked if I were a Stanford fan.
Blitz coming, and they'll throw the flanker screen. Got it out to McHugh.
I think for Stanford, obviously a super early start. What'd you say their wake-up time was? 4:40?
4:40.
West Coast time? Well, they've looked like it, and I think they came out and played a much better team. There's no way if you're a Stanford player, and you've been playing in the Pac-12 against Oregon and USC and those guys, there's no way you watched Northwestern last year and thought, we're going to be okay.
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely right.
And you're just seeing a totally different team.
A little surprised they threw a bubble screen there. Actually took the chance to put the ball in the air. Jackson It's almost like a counter tray action, the old Redskins play, where you show the movement in one direction and then cut it back on purpose. Clock running, 4:11. Now they have the wind at their back. From here, it would still be a 50-yard field goal try. So that's not a given.
But do not stay conservative here. I think you're still, with this much wind, I still think you're trying the field goal. Doesn't matter what yardage you get. You don't have to do anything crazy here for Northwestern.
Vault is the tailback. Thorson to throw. They like that deep out. This one to the goal line and incomplete.
I love the call. Same one they hit on the throw before. Don't throw it in the middle of the field. Don't throw it a place where you can get interception.
Good coverage by Ronnie Harris. He was right there, didn't go for the fake.
That is excellent coverage by Harris. Took over as the starter at the end of last year. Really we kind of listed him as a starter last year / backup, but this is...
So this can be the game right here. Stanford rushing guys on and off the field. They weren't sure if they were going to try the field goal or not. 49-yard attempt with the win. And he got it. Hunter Nicewander. What a clutch kick. This afternoon's game, Stanford was being talked about as a team that might have a shot at a national championship, being in the Final Four, if things went their way. Things are not going their way.
Yeah, I don't know how this loss. I mean, if they went undefeated and won the Pac-12, maybe they'd likely get in.
They could use
but boy, that's a
big run from McCaffrey, and they won't get it. He's spun down at the 28-yard line. Well, the playoff push already starts. Wisconsin and number 3 Alabama tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC, as well as streaming live at home and on the go with Watch ESPN. And right off the top of my head, I would think number 5 is the lowest ranking Alabama has had to start a year forever. They just reload.
Well, we'll see. They haven't told us who the quarterback's going to be. And I know that worked out okay last year.
Yeah, you think he'll be a good player?
Well, they've got a pretty good offensive line and a great running back and suffocating defense, so I think they'll be all right.
Pretty much tells you it's not going to be a problem as Kajus makes a catch, but only about 4 or 5 yards. And Northwestern will be happy to give you every 4 and 5 yard catch you want.
And for Stanford, obviously conserving a ton of clock. They've already used one of those timeouts. Remember when they came back from a break and couldn't get the play in. So they're down 1 timeout. But down 10 on this drive. You don't want to waste a bunch of time. If you can't, you don't want to wait. You may have to get the field goal, and then if you need to, get that onside kick. It's a tough spot to be in.
Clock running again, 2:54. Throw underneath to McCaffrey. He's knocked out of bounds. The clock won't stop because he was not going forward when he was forced out of bounds. So they're going to have to hustle back to the line of scrimmage.
They're going to have to call some stretch throws. I mean, you're down 2 scores, and every throw has been within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage with a guy who was really good on the long ball last year.
And down goes Hogan. You are going to have to get outside of your comfort zone, whether you want to or not, and that's Adenabo. The 3rd sack of Kevin Hogan. Well, what area haven't they dominated in?
Yeah, it's been awfully impressive. Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator, Mick McCall, the offensive coordinator, when we were talking to them yesterday, you go back to the 2012 season, which was just a great year for Northwestern. 10 wins. They won the Gator Bowl. It was the healthiest year this staff had ever had. And they feel that way this year. They've got just about everybody back. Very veteran defense, a very young offense. But what a special start to the year. If you can get a win against the 21st ranked team in the country, and as you mentioned, a team that some people were saying may sneak into the college football playoff before all is said and done.
Hankwitz has to be thrilled. He's done this for so long. This has got to be one of the best performances for his defensive unit ever. This pass caught on a comeback route by the tight end Hooper. But again, 5, 6, maybe 7 yards, and the clock is just inexorably ticking toward 0.
And that was, well, what? Okay. I mean, it's before fourth down. I one after third, now one after fourth. I mean, just call the play. I mean, that's what your 2-minute hurry-up offense is for. Now you're out of timeouts, and you still need another possession.
And Northwestern can now afford
Timeout
to use
Northwestern.
one.
Their first of the half.
Well, Fitzgerald was feeling a little left out on the timeout party.
And the clock wasn't running anyhow, so he didn't lose any time. Here's Northwestern's schedule. Eastern Illinois, Duke, Ball State. Those are 3 games you would think they would be favored in spite of Duke's recent rise to prominence. And then they go into Big Ten play with Minnesota at Michigan, Iowa at Nebraska, Penn State, Purdue, at number 20, Wisconsin, and then they'll finish it off with Illinois. This could be a very interesting team, couldn't it?
And, I was looking at their schedule, and these are kind of the key games I saw for Northwestern. I didn't even put Stanford on here. They were 2-touchdown underdogs. But that at Duke, you get that win, get some more momentum. Minnesota's the favorite in the West by most. I think they can beat Iowa. They beat Penn State. I think Northwestern could end up in the mix in the West from what we've seen.
4-man rush. They throw underneath. Had the completion in the first down to Austin Hooper. Hooper at the 34. Stanford not done yet. 5 catches for the All-American candidate tight end.
And a nice job by Trevon Henry getting up slow.
That's what veterans do. Milk every second.
Absolutely.
Hogan deep out. Kajust makes the catch and was fortunate because he had enough yardage to get the first down to stop the clock.
If you're Stanford at some point as this clock starts to melt away, you got to start thinking about a field goal at some point. You don't want a lot of this clock to burn away and then have nothing left if you're able to get the onside kick.
I agree with you, Ed. If you think you could kick a field goal from here, it might not be a bad way to go. Hogan with time across the middle into double coverage intended for Kajust, and a flag is down.
Now they're going to get Matthew Harris, who looks like he's hurt, on the play on Kajust. It was really tight coverage, but it looked to me like Harris, as they say, was giving him the business.
Pass interference. Defense number 27. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Harris and Henry both hit him.
Oh, yeah. Got a hold of the arm. Excellent coverage. You just got to be careful. Good call. Harris gets caught there. But, again, going back to Stanford, you've got first and goal from the 10. No way to pick up the first down, so the clock won't stop. I don't know how much you're running it here. I think you've got to let Hogan throw this and save some clock on the incompletes.
Hogan 6 out of 6 on this drive. A snap that bounces to him. He throws underneath, and Owusu makes the catch. Now, that's a play that's going to cost you 20 seconds to run the play and then line up to go second down.
I think at this point, throw everything into the end zone. If it's
Absolutely.
incomplete, you're saving the clock, and then you kick the field goal. I just don't think you want this much clock on down 2 scores.
Prior to the snap, timeout Northwestern. Their second of the half. 30 seconds in length.
The head coach is allowed to leave the coach's box to call a timeout.
Anything you have to do to get an official's attention.
You know what I liked what he was doing, though? He was waiting, thinking, wait a minute, do I have to call this? Do I not have to call this? But the idea being, let's make them earn this. Let's call something. Let's look at that formation, make them change the call.
Back to your point that you made about the field goal. You're going to have to onside kick after this, no matter what.
And no timeouts.
You're in a position, this is a chip shot field goal. Why not kick the field goal and then you're just rolling the dice on the onside kick?
I don't mind running a couple plays from here, but throw them in the end zone. So if it's not a touchdown, it's incomplete, and you're stopping the clock. But you don't want to be hitting guys just beyond the line of scrimmage and burning more clock.
Ball's loose. Hogan. At least he was able to get rid of it.
Well, that's 2 snaps. That one was thrown on the ground. But this time, Graham Schuler low and left. And Hogan does an excellent job just to make a play. But because pass is incomplete and Boy, that was awfully close for Van Hoos. He got away. That looked to me like pass interference, and even more so on the replay.
3rd and goal. 1:05 left. Hogan out. Intercepted. Picked off by Cairo.
And instead of trying to take it to the house, we shut it down so they can come out and take a knee. I don't know if I'm Cairo. I think I might be trying to take that one 100 yards for the score. But I give him credit for being heads up, because that ends the ball game.
It really is, because the only way Stanford could win is if you take that ball and run for a touchdown, then they get it back. That's the only way.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a late throw. Excellent job by Cairo, and this is just bright. And I think he made it. Hogan had no chance. There's a couple of offensive linemen chasing him, so I give him a ton of credit for taking a knee and knowing, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're right. You give the ball back if you go score.
That's right. This way you cannot lose, barring a fumble.
What a amazing win for Northwestern. You think what they've gone through the last 2 years, 10 combined wins, 5 wins in 2013, 5 wins in 14 with all the injuries. Their best player last year, Venrick Mark, transfers because he was suspended right before the season. And now to start with a win over a top 25 team is amazing.
Pat Fitzgerald said to us, how important is this game? You win a game like this, you get such an edge in recruiting because we're recruiting the same players. Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald made a statement today. What a game for the Wildcats. They dominated. Outside of the opening drive, where Stanford looked like world beaters and ended up settling for a field goal, the Northwestern defense was superb.
And what a job by the Northwestern coaching staff. A wonderful game plan for a young quarterback in Clayton Thorson making his first start. They let him run the ball some. They have a real